Hello, I'm Magenta Pixie and welcome to my series of conversations that I've decided to call Tea Time Chats. Today's Tea Time Chat features myself, Jessica Woods, who is a channel and an energy worker, Dee Taylor Mason, who's a hypnotherapist, an EFT practitioner and also a channel, and Anne Smith, who is an artist and a Reiki master. We have some interesting and fun conversations today about the Ascension and everything that goes with it. So get yourself comfortable, sit down and relax, pour yourself a cup of tea and enjoy.
In part one of our Tea Time Chat with Magenta Pixie, Jessica Woods, Dee Taylor Mason and Anne Smith, we discuss jewellery. Does it affect your energy work? Gratitude and ethical shopping? Soul connections, UK to USA and beyond, past life and multidimensional memory, cosmic downloads, key swapping and accessing earth memory, and the energy of love.
Thank you, Anne and Dee, for joining myself and Jess today for our afternoon tea in the UK.
Pleasure to be here.
Great. And as I said before, informal chat, nothing scripted, nothing planned. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. I'd like to kick off actually, first of all, before we even get started. Question. Do any of you find that rings interfere with your energy work or with your channeling? Because when I'm moving in that flow, if you like, or channeling, I do feel like a slight, not energy block, but just a slight draw towards the jewellery. And I always have this urge to just take my rings off, and then I think, oh, now I'm in alignment. Anyone get that, or am I just crazy?
No, I don't get that at all.
Okay.
Although I have been inclined to get rid of the rings. I still have them upstairs and don't wear them often, but I was guided to actually, this had been an earring, and make it into a ring. I lost one. So I had it made in, and as you're talking then, I'm just thinking, it's the diamond energy. This is a diamond. And that's why I can wear it.
Right.
Is what I was being channeled.
Well, that makes sense, because these
So that
aren't
makes
diamonds,
sense.
these are just cheapies from Argos.
Yeah, yes. But the sentiment is, you know, to have that jewellery, isn't
So
it?
how about you two? Any similarities?
Well,
there?
not for me. I don't wear any other rings apart from my my mother's wedding ring, actually, and my own engagement ring, and another birthday ring. I don't wear any others at all, so they're part of my energy system. My channeling comes mainly through writing, I have to say, but we might be surprised today.
I think we might be.
And you? Anything?
Well, I've got a few theories on that actually. One is a bit like Dee for, probably, you know how time flies, so you don't actually know, but I would say probably the last 4 years I don't wear anything. If I do, it's like necklaces, everything with me, I feel kind of drawn to them, whatever feels right. So occasionally I will go, something's calling me, I'll go to my jewellery box and I think, and there might be an amethyst ring or something, not necessarily an expensive one, but I do resonate with the diamond. I feel that when I wear those. The only thing I would say about that, and that might be a bit of a controversial subject, but you know, diamonds and how they're mined and that also has come into it for me over the last couple of years as well.
Yes.
And not that it's wrong to wear them or wrong to buy them or anything else, but I feel that's more of a bit of an ethical thing about me at the moment, to be honest.
I think you have to look at the bigger picture of it all, don't you, really, with the ethical part of it. I mean, it is horrendous, the conditions that they're in. And it's almost like the coal mining and things.
Exactly.
Eventually
Gold,
it will be gone, won't it? And it's interesting that coal turns into diamonds eventually. So quite an analogy really. Eventually that will be all phased out, won't it? Because we will be able to magically bring them in.
Well, they can be manufactured now.
Yes.
They've proved that, I think. I may be wrong here, but I believe in Russia that they've created artificial diamonds.
Wow.
I've not seen that personally, but I mean, let's face it, there's not anything we can't do these days, is there?
So to summarise, diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yes.
I'll go buy some diamonds.
I have to say, my joy of diamonds came from the brief time I spent working in a jeweller's shop. And the jeweller actually showed me how to get the eyeglass out and look in and see what were known as occlusions. So, not that I got an eyeglass out for this one, but no, he created the love in me for diamonds and how amazing they are. Of course, now knowing more about how nature has created them,
Yes.
I have to be honest and say I've completely blocked out how they were mined. Mine was a pure love. But however, just any crystals now I see, and I am just blown away by the nature and the colour of crystals.
Beautiful.
And it's the
Just-
multifaceted of them, isn't it,
Absolutely,
really? And
yeah.
actually you can put that to
Yeah.
ourselves as well as we are. So they're a
Mm.
reflection of that
Yeah,
really on a deeper
yeah.
level.
So these
Yeah,
ethical,
yeah.
so I was going to say these ethical purchases then, you know, working out how something's made. Do you do that with everything you buy? Do you look at, I mean, if you want a new handbag or clothes or anything, do you find that you are changing the way you're thinking about purchases and what goes behind everything you buy? Do you feel?
Well, not particularly in what I buy, but one of the things I tend to do at night is, before I go to sleep, is think about the gratitude of things. And so I love my bed, you know, and I'm thinking, thank you for this wonderful bed, thank you for the duvet, and then actually go into how it's made. Somebody had the idea of this, and to put those springs inside. Now, where is that? There's a factory for that, and there's a factory for this, and I look at, and that expands you,
Yeah.
it really does. So when you start to, I haven't done it with the ethical part of shopping, but actually that's a good one to look into, isn't it?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
once you start and examine that, it's quite a good meditation
Yeah.
to do,
Yeah.
but it's the gratitude for me.
And it shifts into that abundant flow. People ask me, how can I create abundance in my life? If you're making purchases that you're feeling guilty about,
Yes.
and think, oh, I shouldn't have bought that because A, I can't afford it, or B, it's not really something I should have spent my money on. Guilt is not going to help you move into an abundant flow. But if everything you buy means something to you, or it's something you need, such as food, then your purchases tend to all be done with joy. Even if you haven't got a lot of money, you know you need or love that item.
I think you're right.
In a non-materialistic sense.
Important word is gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Onwards and downwards, every level of the line, to the seed that actually grew or created the fabric or whatever.
Yes, and the
To
idea,
create.
first of all, it was an idea,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
what happens with everybody's manifestation and dream,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You have an idea, and then you start to put that into to effect.
I buy most of my clothes in charity shops, and I don't mind saying so. The other day, I think somebody, it might even have been you, commented on something
Somebody
I was
wearing,
wearing, and
that's
I'm like,
right,
£3
yes.
charity shop.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that was great, and I was saying, my mother, you know, over the years, she's been like, don't tell people you got that from a charity shop. And I'm like, why? It's an ethical purchase. I mean, obviously, you know, assuming the charity shop is an ethical charity shop with a genuine line to it,
Yes.
then I feel that that's an ethical
Yeah.
purchase. Let's certainly hope, or the intention would be for it to be so.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are charities that aren't, but one can research that. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, because a lot of it doesn't matter what it is. I agree with all of you about the gratitude and looking into opening up that somebody's done that. That is the creation process, and I often talk about that, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. But also with regards to purchasing, whatever it is, it has to be what you said, Magenta, about if you love it and then it feels right, then it's right for you. Okay, I buy clothes from charity shops too. Not so much these days, I must be honest, but I think from an energy point of view, it's a bit like jewellery, you know, it's like anything. I was looking at second-hand rings in a shop window the other day, and I was looking at them, and there was one, and it just stood out, and I knew the energy was absolutely perfect on it. So it didn't matter who had owned it before, and it's like clothes, whether it's an item of clothing or a ring or whatever it is. If it's second-hand, it carries that person's energy and their vibration.
Yeah.
So I won't buy anything, I don't matter how much I like it, if it hasn't got the energy vibration
Yeah,
that
I
will
know what
match
you mean.
me.
Match it, yes.
Because, you know, it's the same like we bump into people, isn't it?
Yes.
There's, you know, some we resonate with completely, and there's others, for whatever reason, we don't dislike them.
I agree.
Yeah.
But we just don't want them in our life, you know,
Yeah.
to associate with them, perhaps at that, you know,
Yeah.
meeting.
Yes.
So you go and take yourself to a group that you do.
Yeah.
So it's the same with clothes for me. So I look
Yeah.
at it probably like all of you, multi-dimensional.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
on
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
levels, because often I felt, certainly with purchases, of being guided to somewhere. And just right, you need that. You just get in your head, you need that. So that's a very interesting way to shop and have fun.
Yeah. I think everything in your life, when you take an ascension path, everything, it doesn't instantly change into the higher evolution of what you once did, but it grows. For example, I always, when I was younger, in fact not too long ago, I would read those gossip magazines. You know, I'd be reading about the celebrities and what they were up to and what fashions they wore and who they were having affairs with and all that business. And now my reading material, light reading material, if I get time to read anything, would be something more like National Geographic or New Scientist, or then what's that charity magazine, The Big Issue, because that in itself is going into charity. So my reading material, just say for a magazine, just say for a free afternoon, I would look at those celebrity magazines and think, I don't know if I'm going to buy them. Sometimes I will for grounding purposes. If I've really been in a deep shift with lots of downloads and I found myself not being able to ground these new energies, I will then go back to the old me, who was predominantly third density, and do what she would have done, which is read the magazine. And then I go back just to ground myself and read about the shoes and the handbags and the celebrities.
I have to say that one major thing that's happened since my soul has been opened and the remembrance has come in is that I've done my best to release judgment. And one of the first things to go was a daily newspaper. I found that's not informative, that's judgmental, turn the page. Another one. And often now, which seems to be the case, is the judgmental information has been obtained in an obtrusive way. So it's not information that's interesting, it's not information that the public necessarily should know, but the people's or the subject's privacy has been totally invaded.
We know that with the phone hacking scandal.
Well, that's been happening now. So now,
Can't buy that,
for about 5 years now, we've and my husband's been happy to go along with it. Actually, we don't have a newspaper.
No, I don't have a newspaper. I won't buy the broadsheets.
So do you have magazines?
No, I
So you
don't.
don't read magazines?
I don't
either?
know. I don't. Occasionally, when we go away and we're on a flight, I might pick one up. But I'm just flicking.
Who else does that?
I'm flicking.
Just on travelling? Occasionally, just to kind of like
Just to-
see what's going on
actually,
in the real world?
It is just to keep back in this world, isn't it? It's like, we'll just check on that.
Yeah.
I know.
And occasionally in
just
the
to
news.
check what's going on
Yeah.
with third density.
Something
And how glad we are we're not there.
And it's weird. There's issues that come up in the news that my husband and I've got no idea about.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who? So they're a celebrity, are they?
Sounds like you're going into new worlds.
Yeah.
I was teasing.
Yeah.
That's what you were
Yeah.
saying before the camera.
And it is another world. It is another
Yes.
world.
We've been talking. We've got to fill up a bit here.
Tea time.
Yes, tea
Afternoon
time.
tea in the UK because we all drink so much tea over here.
And I do. And those that are in America, I do not drink coffee. I
don't
cannot drink
coffee.
coffee. I love the
I
smell
love
of it,
coffee.
but I hate the
Love
taste of
coffee.
it. And that is so weird, I know. So
I was saying about my viewers on my YouTube channel are predominantly American, and since I've started doing the YouTube videos and communicating with lots of people from the US, it's brought that country to light for me. I've always felt connected to it, and I know I have past life memory there, if you can call it that. But now I really feel like part of my soul is in America with these ascending individuals in the States. It seems it's got a central, fast-moving pace, whereas we in the UK, I feel, are more on the periphery of the spiritual energies, although there's no time or space, so we're right in there with them when we awaken. So, have you been to America?
yes. Well, no, not America. Canada is our
We have some
spiritual
connections
home in Canada. And now, interestingly, I mean, this is throwing another subject in there. During meditation, I met a Native American Indian in a what could have been a tragic situation. And with help from another guide who just stepped in, I discovered his name was White Cloud. And through the help of other spiritual mediums, I was able to speak to him, and he told me that he was my father in that lifetime that I had observed.
Wow.
And when I went on holiday to Canada with my husband to meet friends, I asked specifically that he guides me to a likeness that I can relate to him, and if I saw this likeness, however it is presented, 3 times, then I would know that was the right one, and I found it.
Oh, how wonderful.
And it matches the older version of who he was at that time in this image. I am an artist, but I don't paint from my mind. I'm a good copier, if you like, but put my own twist on things. But this image I had of White Cloud, or as I know to be White Cloud now, on his Palomino horse on the edge of a cliff, just about to jump off because of the distress of the wars that have been. I felt his pain, and I saw what he saw, in other words, cities in the valleys, and that was his image. And I'm so amazed now to know and understand, and through my own skills, I have visited that life that I had with him and my brother, who was Ronnie Wolf, and I was known as Standing Bear during that time.
That's lovely, isn't it?
So he is with me constantly.
Wonderful name.
We're remembering, aren't we, more about these lives and the experiences.
So for me, my visit is to Canada, and I have visited down south with the friends into America, but I haven't visited America per se as a proper trip. But I'd like to do that.
Well, I have similar memories with a Native American Indian existence. I've had these memories for many years, over 20 years, and other people that I know were in that particular lifetime, and that was more Arizona way. I had memories of the red rocks and the large cactus before I'd even seen them, and on photographs. So yeah, that's kind of how it works, and it's lovely when those memories come up. What I found difficult was once I did assimilate with those memories, I assimilated with the emotions of that particular person that I was, and that person was on a mission, and that person wanted to continue that mission, which was quite warrior-like. So I'm thinking, well, I can't do that now, because that's not my mission. It's the same mission, but we've shifted a little bit, and we're not going to be sort of, riding down the street on a horse and spearing everyone in this lifetime kind of thing. So I had to shift those emotions, because I remembered the emotions from that lifetime were quite, not fear, but there was negative emotions there that I had to assimilate through in this lifetime. So yeah, really interesting. Have you both, Jess and Dee, have you had any past life memories or any knowings about other incarnations? Because maybe neither of you have been on Earth, actually, possibly.
I've had a lot, but what I think I mentioned to you before is I feel like they're parallel lives, and I never understood.
Yeah.
I never understood it many years ago. I used to say to a very close friend of mine at the time, it's like I can see myself walking around in another physical body, living an experience.
Absolutely.
And he said, "Don't tell anyone about that." That was many years ago, and it was long before his head, and he was really into all sorts of stuff as way above me, as in was into astrology and knew this, that, and the other about the ground and the earth and all this stuff. So for me, it was always okay, and I was waiting for someone else to say this thing, and then it was only years later that I think I read in a book somewhere, people talking about it, these parallel lives, and it was like, okay, so I get that. So but yes, I do have more. I can jump into the parallel, I think, rather than past memories as such. I don't know.
Well, that is a lot of the teaching now is that there only is now. I've had that concept of you're only in one existence, but on different vibratory levels, as our existence is a column that moves around, but you've done it on a horizontal, you've explained it on a horizontal plane. which actually makes more sense because you could be
it's
living these extra
dipping in.
lives, and I believe that's what you've been
I've been
told.
experiencing that, and because I do past life regression as well, and within the therapies, which has been very interesting, is going back genealogically, because somebody may be holding the energy within this life, and so that's been interesting for me. But one of my first past life memories would be on my very first regression when I was regressed, and without going into the too much detail of the personal of it, it involved my mother. And I just saw within that we were just playing this over and over and over again. And within the regression, I just said, this stops now. We're not playing this out anymore. You know, I would go, she would go, all of that. And that was amazing. And I think with all my therapies that I do, I have to have the proof for me. And when they work, you know, that's when you can actually go into them. But the genealogical one especially has been quite incredible for other people. But I tend not to do too much past life memory because if anything I go forward because I don't feel I fit into this space, as we all don't, but I do feel it's definitely forward, not back. You know.
That energy's shifted. It's like past lives. When I first started doing client work 2 years ago, 3 years ago, past life is really quite important, as in, you know, tying up the loose ends, dealing with issues, having those memories so that they would link in with where they are now. But something shifted around about the 11/11/11 where it's like, well, past life work is not so important now because it's more into looking into the horizontal, the quantum, and the parallel shifting, and bringing it all into now, as in becoming one, not just becoming one with one another, but becoming one with our own parallel selves. So past lives is kind of fourth density, really, which is where we all kind of were, really, predominantly. We've looked at sort of, you know, ethical purchasing, that's shifting out of 3D, and all the celebrities and magazines and papers, all 3D. So us four are now glimpsing or residing in a lot of the time, and certainly feeling shifts into what I would call fifth density, which is the unity of it. So past lives are no longer a concept anymore in that density, because there is no past, present or future, so we then become in that one point, and everything spins out from there. Have you been having that feeling for a while?
Well, one of the things when you were talking there, and what we've been, you know, the path that we've been kind of following here, is that a lot of the people that are coming to me at the moment, I am working with any remnants of their past lives that are holding them back. Okay, that I'm finding a lot at the moment. So it might be that there's some kind of link, something that's tying them back on that. So kind of by me going back into that, finding that, holding that energy of that link, and then, I don't know what you want to call it, severing it, changing it or whatever. You know, it's almost like an elastic band goes boom, and then they go boom, and it lets go, and then they come into this this higher density, and that's the end of it.
Freeze them in.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, whether they're doing it consciously through their, you know, energy work, perhaps like I am, or, you know, more in the ways we are, but we're individually doing it anyway, aren't we, as you're saying, and that link of letting the past be that, and moving into the higher density of it is certainly
what was interesting to me, never having seen you work before, we all met up on Friday, and seeing you work with those energies, and actually I would do it obviously with the mind. You're doing it with the energies, and it was quite fantastic to watch that and experience that.
Because you're more like me. Can you see what I mean about the template swap that I was talking about? Just to reiterate there, I was talking about, we did a workshop Friday night, and I was talking about how these downloads aren't just from the sort of cosmic alignment and from the guidance or from the angels or whatever, they're also from one another. And when you meet somebody who's outside of your mapping, then it's difficult to swap keys and codes, so there could be potentially communication blocks and all sorts that's going on in third density. But when you're shifting into fifth, predominantly most of the people in fifth density will have an energy exchange for the other. So when I met Jess, it was before I met her, it was her business that I saw, and I just got so drawn, I thought, I have to go there. And as soon as I saw her, I thought,
I'm going to work with her, I don't know why.
Mm.
But it's then become apparent that the working with, as in, you know, what we're doing now, videos, workshops, all that, it's beyond that. It's an energy work that takes place on a level that perhaps we're not even consciously aware of on the physical level.
Yeah.
So I see that like a key, like Jess has held a key all her
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
in her auric field, in her vibrational field, and so have I, and we swap. And then it's not like an instant clicking of the fingers and instantly I know everything Jess knows and she knows everything I know. It is a download of that key, or an unlocking of the door with the key, however you want to see it. So I then found myself personifying Jess, as in certain mannerisms that she would do, I would be doing them. I think that's Jessica, that's not me, and that's because I'm downloading the template and I'm still learning her template of the energy work, and she is still learning. She's had a key swap the template.
Exactly.
And you felt the same, did you?
Absolutely, and I think what the important thing here is that we're all doing it all of the time.
Yes.
And you know, this is what is the awareness, the awakening, isn't it?
Yes.
Now is that we're beginning to realise that it is more on energy levels,
Yeah.
and everything consists of energy. I mean, scientifically, I don't know that much about it. I didn't particularly do very well at science at school, and it's changed a lot anyway, hasn't it? I've read a bit about quantum physics and things like that. Everything's energy. It's all particles with vibration, harmonics, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. It's all happening all the time. And part of our ascension and our awakening is that we're now able to read that energy. And it's not just because, I mean, a lot of people might think, oh, well, you know, I've always done this. I probably have, but not consciously. So what you were saying there about the swapping, what we're all doing right now is, what we've swapped, key codes, is more conscious recollection of what I'm actually doing and being able to verbalise it. So that was our mutual agreement and exchange, and that's what's happening on an energy level, in the same way that we're relating, all of us right now, and we're all passing some kind of energy, consciously or not, obviously, that is in some way going to enhance our experience.
And raise the vibration of the planet itself and create the new dimension. Question for you, Dee.
Right.
I have met Jess in real life, as it were. I'm able to look into her eyes and hold her hand.
Yes.
Can you have a key swapping situation with someone you haven't met, that's someone you've met online, via Skype, via the internet, via telephone? Can you have that same energetic key swapping?
I think you can. Yes, I think you can. In fact, I've had that today.
Yes,
strangely enough.
That's what I'm asking.
How interesting! And it was also interesting that it came via you. On our interview, somebody picked up on what I do and contacted me, and that was going on. You know, I was saying, well, we'll do this and we'll do that, and it was actually working. And how amazing! How amazing! Thank you for making it clear for me as well, because there are different things that we are that's been introduced to me via you and via you that is actually making more clarity to me, because I know that you have both individually worked on your own a lot, as I have, and I haven't always had the explanation of what I'm doing. But everything you say, it's just like, yes, yes, yes. I mean, we haven't known each other very long, have we, Jessica?
No, we haven't.
But we absolutely totally knew that we knew each other. And I would just nod, and Jessica would say, you just nod, you, and that's how it would be. Our exchange was already going on at a very different level.
And love. It's like, I love you.
Yes.
And I love you. And I've only met you today, and I love you. And it's real. It's not like, you know, I've got to say that I love these people because that's the spiritual path, and I must have unconditional love, which you have for every single person on the planet. It's real love.
I think that
And love, universal love. That's our love connection, which was the amazing thing when you downloaded the light of vibration energy. And then Dee told me about this, you know. Took a while for it to click.
It does, it does.
Downloading light of vibration. Oh, that's love. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So yes, and it's the universal love, the universal committed, non-judgmental connection. And I am so thrilled to be in this place, in this time, and at this growth in my life now. I never knew, I wasn't particularly religious or even spiritual up until I was about 50. And then something happened physically in my life, and then whiz bang wallop. Suddenly, I was opened. That's the bottom line of it really, and I am so grateful, so grateful.
Yeah. What would you say what was the opener? Was it a combination of things? or
No,
was
I
it-
had a health trauma. I had walked around for 2 years with a very loud noise in my head, and it wasn't tinnitus, and it wasn't until I was going to hospital for other surgery that the registrar said to me, "Is there anything else you want to talk about?"